students, today we are going to talk about quadratic equations. Go ahead and fill in your name and your class period. Today's date is May the 3rd. All right, standard form. All quadratic equations are written in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. When graphed, a quadratic equation creates a U-shaped curve called a parabola. That's pronounced parabola. There are two main types of parabolas. If A is a positive, then the parabola opens up like a smiley face. If A is a negative, the parabola opens down like a frowny face. It says use your graphing calculator to sketch the following. Guys, in your graphing calculator, you can go to y equals, and you can put in that first equation, x squared plus 2x minus 5. And then you can hit the graph key, and you should see something that looks kind of like this. Not exactly, but kind of like that. And then, after you finish that one, you can go in and put y equals negative x squared plus 3x plus 7. And you'll see a parabola that looks something kind of like that. So you can see the difference in a positive leading coefficient when A is positive and when A is negative. And what I mean by A is if I were to label A here, it'd be 1, B would be 2, C would be negative 5. On this one, A would be negative 1, B would be 3, C would be 7. Next thing we want to talk about is the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is defined as the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts. The axis of symmetry is the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts. And the formula for the axis of symmetry is x equals negative b divided by 2a. And that should look really familiar. It's everything except for the discriminant whenever we look at the quadratic formula. So negative b divided by 2a. Okay? And we label the axis of symmetry as x equals blank. Whatever number we get for x, right? Because it's a vertical line, it's labeled x equals blank. Next is the vertex. The vertex is labeled x comma y. It's an ordered pair. And the vertex is the turning point of the parabola. The turning point of the parabola. And when the vertex is at its lowest point, it's called a minimum. And when the vertex is at its highest point, it's called a maximum. So let's look at an example here. We're going to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, and the sketch. And you probably want to write fairly small because we do have to do three things here. So first of all, our example is y equals x squared plus 8x plus 15. So our a value is 1. There's nothing in front of that x squared, so we can put that 1 there. Our b is 8. Our c is 15. So first of all, is this going to open up or down? Is it a smiley face or a frowny face? Well, a is 1. That's positive. So it's going to open up. So I'm going to sketch a parabola opening up down there at the end. And then to find my axis of symmetry, we said x equals negative b divided by 2a. So here, negative b would be negative 8 divided by 2 times 1, because 1 is And that would be negative 8 divided by 2, which is negative 4. So my axis of symmetry is that x equals negative 4. Which means if I draw a vertical line dividing my parabola into two equal sections, I would name that line x equals negative 4. And again, we're just sketching. We are not on a coordinate plane. We're not drawing an x and y axis. We're just sketching the line of symmetry and the vertex. Now to find the vertex, just go to my original equation, y equals, but anywhere I see an x, I want to put in a negative 4. So this is negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 15. And negative 4 squared is 16. 8 times negative 4 is minus 32. Then I have that plus 15. When I do that math, I get y equals negative 1, which means that's the y value of the vertex. The x value is what we substituted in, negative 4. So my vertex is at negative 4, comma, negative 1. So I can label this lowest point, the minimum, is negative 4, comma, negative 1. All right, let's look at another example on the back of your paper, example 2. So here, a equals negative 1, b equals 10, c equals negative 23. And so we can see our leading coefficient's negative. Right, so this will look like a parabola that opens down, a frowny face, if you will. Find my axis of symmetry. X equals negative b divided by 2a. So here that would be a negative 10 divided by 2 times negative 1. That's negative 10 divided by negative 2, which gives me 5. My axis of symmetry is that x equals 5. To find my vertex, I take my original equation. Anywhere I see x, I put in a 5. Now be careful here because I have that negative out in front. So I'm putting my 5 in parentheses, squared, plus 10 times 5 minus 23. 5 squared is 25. And then I have the negative in front. So I'm calling that negative 25 plus 50 minus 23. When I do that math, I get y equals 2. And so my vertex is at 5, comma 2. So when I go to my sketch and draw a line, what should be dividing it in 2, it's not perfect, but you know, we'll call that line x equals 5. And that maximum point right there is 5, comma 2. That's the x and y value of that maximum point. Let's try one more of these together before I give you your homework assignment. So for number 3, a would be 3, b would be negative 12, and c would be 5. So a equals 3. This is definitely a positive leading coefficient. So I open up like a smiley face. Okay. My axis of symmetry is that x equals negative b divided by 2a. So here that would be negative 12, which is positive 12, divided by 2 times 3. Let's see. Well, that's 12 divided by 6, which is 2. So my axis of symmetry is a vertical line at x equals 2. Then to find my vertex, I take my original equation. Anywhere I see an x, I put in a 2. So 2 squared is 4, and 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. And I still have that plus 5. When I do that math, I get y equals, let's see, negative 7. So my vertex is at 2, comma, negative 7. So go into my sketch. I'll draw my axis of symmetry. I'll label that x equals 2. And then my point, my minimum, is at 2, comma, -7. And we're not going to do the rest of these examples, except we're going to very quickly go through and say if it opens up or down. So number 4, positive leading coefficient of 4. So this would open up. Number 5, the negative leading coefficient, -1, would open down. Number 6, 2 is positive, that opens up. Number 7, -3, well that's negative, so that opens down. Number 8, negative x squared, that's like a equals -1, so that definitely opens down. Number 9, y equals x squared, opens up. Number 10, -2, that would open down. So that is your introduction to graphing quadratics. Be sure and check Google Classroom to see what your homework assignment is.